Hi guys, welcome to today's video, and today we're going to discuss PWM controller boards. So I've replaced my temperature control unit, which was the 1219 unit, with a PWM controller. That's going to give me proportional fan control from a start and stop range. So when it hits the start range, the fan will spin slowly. As it gets towards the higher temperature that I've set, it will go on to full speed. I find that a lot better now. I've started using it with my Prusa Mini, and I wanted to incorporate it into the PrusaBox as well. So to do that, I've come up with just a slightly different design. It is slightly wider, probably about 1 centimetre, so about quarter, third of an inch wider, because the controller board is quite a wide board, so hence having to make it a little bit wider. But we've still got the control buttons on it as well to be able to control it. If you've seen the PWM controller I've done for my Takari on the Prusa Mini, that explains all the controls, and we'll go through that very shortly. So this is what it looks like for the modular front. As you can see, perhaps my Prusa is currently in bits with all the wires there, so this is all part of a rebuild. Now, to cope with the extra width, the whole front needs to be slightly more centered. So I've got here the mounts that are available, I think, on PrusaBox or on the printable sites, which will actually put it slightly more into the center. And even with the extension, I think it's going to just fit within the extreme sides of the PrusaBox. Anyway, let's have a look and see what the controller board looks like. Okay guys, so this is what I'm going to fit in for the new temperature control unit. So we have the PWM control unit here. I've just added a power supply cable to it. It doesn't come with that normally. The temperature sensor, and then we need to add a plug onto the end for the fan. It doesn't come with this plug, and I will leave a description at the end of the video. So the plug goes there, and pins that have to go into the plug. I've got an old fan extension cable. That's a 4-way, so a 4 cable fan extension. I'm going to chop the ends off here and put the new plug on the end. It's very similar to the Noctua, because I will be using Noctua fans with this. The red and black are the same, the blue is the same. The only difference on the Noctua, the yellow one here is actually green on the Noctua, so there's only one cable I have to remember is slightly different. So that will be wired up in a second. And let's have a look. Let's move those out of the way slightly. This was the old PrusaBox temperature control unit, which had the 1219 temperature unit inside it. And this is the one that I've designed. And as you can see, it is just slightly wider. Bearing in mind, this is quite a long circuit board, but it will fit in. And everything, well, pretty much everything else is the same. Obviously, I've done the inside a little bit different. We've still got the buttons on the front and slightly different mounting points. But in the end, it will fit on there quite nicely. So let's start, I think, by putting the plug onto the socket. Ideally, you will need a crimping tool to be able to crimp the new pins onto the wires. And again, if you're not sure about that, I will include a link in the description. Now, just to say, I'm going to use this screwdriver here. Just press the little tabs in on this plug so that I can easily pull the wires out. And this is the crimping tool here that I'll be using. Basically popping the wire in the end of the pin, popping it into the crimping tool and clamping it closed while making sure the wire is still inside. So I'm just going to finish that off now off camera. So I'm just going to show you how I've got this wired up. Just using a little 40mm Noctua fan because the colours will be the same. So because I've used a third-party extension, the colours here, we've got blue, green, yellow and black. Those coincide in my particular case with blue, yellow, red and black. Now, in particular, we've got blue at the top of each one, so that's common, and we've got black at the bottom there, so that's common. The yellow here is positive on the Noctua, going through to the positive here, and the green one on the Noctua is actually yellow. So I just need to make sure that that corresponds with the plus, negative, signal and power on the board. So red and black, positive and negative, so those will correspond to those 2 points. The blue will go on the outside as the power, and the yellow is my signal. If you're using the Noctua extensions, then you'd have black as the negative, yellow as the positive, the signal will be green, and the power for the device will be blue. So I'm now going to pop the pins into the plug, and you have to make sure the little barbs come out as well. There's a little barb on the back that will hold the pin in. So put those in the correct order and we'll carry on. Okay, so I've just plugged in the plug that we've just made up. I've attached the thermostat, so the actual probe is there. We have a 40mm fan just to test. I don't have the large 120 fan with me right now, and I've just popped a 12-volt power supply from any 12-volt power brick, so that's connected up for the moment, and hopefully you can see the display. Let's see if I can help to show the display here. I hope that's showing. Let's turn it a little bit darker. I think you can probably see that now. Now this display gives RPM and temperature in degrees C. So to program it, you just press and hold what would be the OK button. You set the low temperature at which the fan will start, and you can use plus or minus buttons here. Press it again for the high temperature, that's the temperature at which it will go full speed. Press it once more, this is the stop temperature. So below that, the fan won't turn at all. And once you're happy with that, press OK once more, and it's all done. So hopefully you can see the fan there. If I hold the temperature probe, hopefully it will start to increase. I may have to skip through this slightly until we get it to work. And you can see that fan is now just turning very, very slowly. and as the temperature increases, the fan speed will increase. Now the beauty of this is, if the temperature is only on the low side of your fan speed, you're not going to have a roaring fan, and I've found it actually to work really, really well. Yeah, that fan's doing quite nicely, and I'll release the probe now, and that will eventually shut down. I can hear it actually going slower and slower as the temperature comes down. The RPMs are also coming down as well. You have to add a 0 onto the RPM, so that'd be 2530 RPM. And once it stops, the very bottom light, which is the run light, will go off. There we are. It's really getting slow now. Anyway, that's going to take a little while to completely shut down. So the next step is to pop that into the housing and just see what it looks like. Okay, so finally we've got the unit inside there. Let's push the light away, so hopefully you can see the temperature display there. And the probe can go in the enclosure to an appropriate place. And we have the fan here just temporarily linked. This one will actually end up under the iron board, as it's a 40mm fan. I'm going to use a splitter, so the main fan will split off of this same cable, and half will go to the 40mm fan and half will go to the main 120mm fan. And let's just see if I can increase the temperature again. See if it'll do it a bit quicker this time. Yeah, and you can see the fan has just started up. And we're going there slowly. The hotter it gets, the faster that will get up to full speed, I think around about 30 degrees. So you've seen how it all goes together, how it works. I'll definitely be using a splitter to split between the 40mm fan that will go under the INSI board and the main extractor fan. I will be rigging the 12-volt power supply. At the moment it's just, as you can see, just a cable and a temporary cable there. One of these wires will be going to one of these switches, so I can override and power it on and off as I want. So next thing is really just to see what it looks like on the front. Obviously it's not going to be fully functional because everything needs to be wired up, and that's really part of these videos, is to start doing a complete rewire of the PrusaBox. So let's see what it looks like all completed. So I've just added the adapter plate onto the back of the modular front, 3 bolts on each section, and I'm now going to bolt this onto the PrusaBox. Okay guys, so we have the modular front onto the PrusaBox. As you can see here, the temperature unit fits well. There's still probably about ½ inch of gap on the side here. It does mean that you can't actually take the top off, you can't get to the bolts now, they are now covered. But the mounting plate, and not my design obviously, a full credit to the person that designed the mounting plate, has nicely shifted over the modular front. So I'm really looking forward to being able to use this now. Connected up to a couple of Noctua fans, those 4-pin fans. And our next steps really are to carry on with the wiring. So completely rewire the relays from the Pi to turn on the rear fans, the lighting, etc. Wiring the control unit to one of these switches. So all good. And it'll be great just to have proportional fan control so that the fans aren't blaring away, making a lot of noise. In most cases it'll probably be running just at half speed, I think, with the temperatures that I tend to do. So if you like this video and you found this handy, and by the way, I will include the step and STL files for this mount for the PWM controller board. So just look in the description below. If you like the video, please do a like and a subscribe. It'd be great to get more subscribers. And I look forward to seeing you next time.